Hi, I'm Rachel Whitefield, certified life coach, and with me is Jackie Black, our resident astrology angel. Thank you for joining us on another fabulous episode of Whiskey Bent and
Spellbound with Black.
Whitefield.
All right, what are we drinking today, Rach?
Oh, I'm really glad you asked. It's a really fun episode today, so we kind of just we're going with the flow today. So I am drinking once again a personal show favorite is Uncle Nearest 1856 premium whiskey. This is owned by a female it's a female owned company, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of drinking it and talking about them. So what about you, Jackie?
Yeah, girl, I'm drinking something completely new that we've never drank on the show before. Some old smoky Gatlinburg, Tennessee cookie dough whiskey. We tried that dough ball whiskey, and I have been obsessed with the sweet flavored whiskeys ever since. And my local ABC liquor
Theater?
establishment, yeah,
Mhm.
the girl who works there was like, you if you like dough ball, you'll love Old Smoky.
Because you
So
can't get dough ball there. So
I
this is next
can't.
best thing, perhaps Old Smoky. So you're going for sweet. I'm going for a little bit more traditional. And before I pour, can I show you the
Yeah,
ice molds that I have?
please do. I'm still sticking with my rose ice molds. I gotta probably get a couple
For our
shapes.
visual watchers of the podcast, it is fun. I have a pink wig on. I'm like
Hmm.
pink today. I got pink eyeshadow, got a pink cocktail ring, pink, pink, pink. And then I'm gonna double down. I'm doubling down, and I have spheres today, just big old ice balls. But I use the rhodolite.
Icy balls.
Icy balls. They're so firm. But they are the rhodolite magenta from Fancy Sprinkles once again. This is so, I don't
Ooh,
even
pull
know.
it back.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go. That's pretty.
Yeah. So molds top and bottom, like sprinkled it with the makeup brush. And so it was so pretty. So I was like, ooh, these came out better than expected. So these
Hmm.
are really fun. Very like pigmented pink, which is nice. So
Yeah.
I decided I was gonna do my whiskey today, but yeah, fancy sprinkles. Link them in the show notes once again. So here I am, spirits pouring the spirits today. And
Indeed.
you are with your rose ice molds from last time.
Yes, I have a ice mold that does both diamonds and roses, so I just keep filling that up. So
You guys,
it's real cute.
if you want these ice molds, they are in our Amazon affiliates linked down in the show notes. So here we are. Ooh, Clinkies, bestie.
Twinkies.
Clinkies. These are very dense ice molds, so they're gonna take a little while to melt, but ooh, the sparkle, she's a coming. She's a coming. We like it.
Oh, I love that. Old Smoky, let me just tell you,
Okay.
this is really, really good.
Mm.
Really good. It definitely is cookie dough-esque. And let me tell you, plop a couple of shots of this into a Kahlua. Forget about it.
Oh my God, I bet that
So
was
good.
so good. I can't wait till we get to like
So
cocktail
good.
making on this show instead of just,
Hmm.
pouring and drinking. Again, let's just get
Yeah.
to the economy of it. But yeah, no, I love it. So
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying that Uncle Nearest
That
that
scent.
scent,
It's so good.
that whiskey scent. Like, oh yeah. I wonder,
Old Smoky has a sweet scent.
oh, I bet it does. I can't wait to compare and contrast that when I'm
Is
there
it-
with you.
Oh yeah, with the dough
Oh,
ball.
but yeah. Oh, it is gonna be fun. But
Yeah.
speaking of fun, we're having a fun show today, Jackie.
Yeah, I know. I'm really excited about it. Let's
Yeah.
talk.
Our last few shows have been a bit more like serious leaning. And those have been needed, but we're gonna have a little fun on the show today. So again, fun's my to give credit where credit is due. Pink wig, we're having fun. We can let loose. We can let our hair
Yes.
down, if you will, on the show. And so so again on this show intro, you were our astrology angel.
I
So
am.
you're into the metaphysical astrology. Again, I am not super into astrology. I mean, I know my sign, but no one
Yeah.
else. And I think I was married for 5 years to the Limey before I realized he was a Virgo?
Oh my
Question
gosh.
mark. So this isn't something that I feel really led by. However, I do borrow some of the verbiage from
Okay.
astrology to how I understand myself through that filter with various fandoms. I
Right.
always say I am a Slytherin with a Hufflepuff rising. I am X with a Y. So before we jump into kind of what we think we are in other places, let's
Yeah.
break it down a little bit. You are our expert. What is a rising mean? What does it mean?
So, okay, we'll
Am I
just start from the
using it
beginning.
right? Do I need to
Yeah,
back it up?
you kind of are. You kind
Okay.
of are using it right. One, not an expert. Always learning when
Okay.
it comes to the metaphysical. I learn something new about my craft, if you will, every single day.
Let's put it
I'm
this
always
way. Expert out of the two of us.
of the two of us,
Out of the two of us.
I'm the
Yeah.
more knowledgeable when it comes to astrology. I lean towards it when I look at guidance. I don't typically judge people by their signs. Like, oh, like I hear people, oh, you're a Virgo. Oh, you know what they say about Virgos. No, I don't do that.
Hmm.
But let's talk about a little bit about what they mean to as to you as a person. So your sign is an Aries. You're an Aries. So that means you're straightforward, you're a natural athlete, you're a swimmer.
Hmm.
You have been your whole life, and you're extremely independent. Like you believe that is your birthright. Nobody can take away your independence, and you love a good challenge. So that is your sign. Your sign is your ego. That's who you just naturally are. It's your ego.
Hmm.
So I wrote a couple of notes. You see possibilities, and they can be overwhelming to choose, but you see so many possibilities. You have success in fields of service or where you guide or assist or help people. That makes sense because you're a life coach. And you're also super creative and perceptive and extremely compassionate. That is your ego. That's just who you naturally are. Now, when you say um, a rising sign, so earlier you said Slytherin with a rising, and we'll get into that in a
Hmm.
minute. Your rising sign is who you present as a person. So that's what other people are picking up from you. And your rising sign, so this is like the energy you're putting out into the world,
Hmm.
your vibe, if you will.
Hmm.
Your rising sign is Taurus, which is a huge contrast from an Aries. Aries is can be very aggressive, very. I mean, it's
Hmm.
named after the god of war.
Hmm.
Okay. But your rising sign, the vibe that you put out is the Taurus. You're not as aggressive, but you still have a very strong personality. You're outwardly a little bit docile, which makes sense because we called you the wallflower in high school.
That's true. Hmm.
Yeah. You have a strong sense of your own worth, which that's something about you. I don't know if I've ever told you, but it inspires me to make sure that I continue to have that own sense in myself. So your own worth. And then you don't immediately trust other people. Like you don't give your immediate trust. You sort of you sense out people
Hmm.
before you're like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So you gather, I've seen this in you actually. You're the world's best Googler. You gather your information before you make your decision on people. So
Hmm.
that's your rising sign. There's one right in the middle that you never talk about, and that's your moon sign. And your moon sign
I never talk about it
is
because I don't know
you
about it.
yeah, well, here's the news. You're a Pisces.
Mm.
Your
Yeah.
moon sign is Pisces.
Hmm.
So you're imaginative, you're highly creative. That makes sense because you're such a writer.
Hmm.
All of our show notes are written, all of our show descriptors, our show notes, all written by Rachel.
Hmm.
Um, but Rachel, and you've said this to me, Rachel avoids feeling those hard emotions. You don't like when people yell at you. That's a hard
I'm not
emotion, right? You don't like that
avoiding.
confrontation.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Or I'm very good at
Yeah.
like, I understand how I feel about a situation like after the fact.
Yeah.
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 I'm
So
not
how do
even
you feel about what
avoiding
I just,
hard emotions. It's just more of like allowing myself to know that it's okay to feel those things.
yeah, you probably have to remind yourself
Yeah, it's okay to get
that
upset.
it is okay. Yeah. Yeah. So
um,
how do you feel about how I just described you?
growing up, they're like, "Oh, you're an Aries." I was like, "I don't identify with anything less, than a fire sign. Are you kidding me?" And now I'm like, "Oh, that is a hard lean in." Yeah, 1,000%. Or I finally like stepped into it, or when it,
Yeah.
some things when you take what are those like tests, like what Hogwarts house are you in? Or we'll get into that, but it's more of like
Yeah.
when I was a Slytherin, it was, ooh, I had to reconcile that and to accept that that is truly who I am, and now I'm really like
Yeah.
Slytherin and proud. But
Yeah.
when you come to, how did you decide what my moon was, or how did you decide what my rising sign was? Is that based on my just character traits that you see within myself, or like what the charts aligned? Where did you get this information? How is
Yeah,
it?
that's your birthday.
Oh,
That's
okay. So
all
everything is from my
based on your
birth.
birthday.
Okay.
It's based on where these planets and stars are
Okay.
when you are born. And like the thing is like I hear a lot of talk about like, oh, Mercury, how is Mercury really affecting you if it's millions of miles away? Here's how. Human beings are made of water,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Gravity, the moon affects the water on the planet. The moon affects the water in our bodies. Okay. All of the planets, all of the stars, we are all in motion, all together, all at the same time. And where those planets are, where those stars are all affecting who you are as a person from the day you are born.
Mm.
You can really tell a lot about people um based on their birthday. Like and the thing is I don't like to use it against people like, oh, you're an Aquarius, but you're a Cancer. So many of my love interests have been Cancers.
Hmm.
But I try not to put any like negative spin. It really is just a descriptor for how these people work, how they present themselves, how you guide yourself through your emotions, how you interact with other people. And it's really like a good way to get to know a little bit about people. And of course, like your environment is going to change your personality and how you interact with people, but it's a really, really good way to know how to handle people, quite frankly, and like the way they talk and the way they interact with other people.
Hmm.
So I'll give you an example. And
Okay.
I highly, highly, highly relate to my signs. Like so I'm a Capricorn. And there's the one thing about Capricorns that I have noticed is that a lot of us have dark hair. Like we're dark visually, like a lot. I personally have never met a blonde Capricorn.
Hmm.
Like yeah, like all I have a pretty large following on TikTok. Hi dot I'm Jackie. If you're not following me yet, um,
Please go follow her.
please go. But every time I post something about being a Capricorn, the specifically like it's a lot of ladies, some men, but we all have dark hair. We're all this earth sign, very earthy
Ooh.
visually. Yeah. So a couple of the things I don't like myself, I don't like risks. I am a workaholic. And those are two like things that I don't really like about myself, but I know are 100% true. I'm terrified of risks. Um, and I'm a workaholic. I am working all the time. I own this business with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to school full time and I work full time. There is no free time. I'm a workaholic. But one thing about Capricorns is that we have mastered the art of making people laugh.
Ooh.
Yeah, there is no room, and you've been in rooms with me where I can't make people laugh. We're also
Yeah.
extremely loyal. Like I will bury the body.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this quote that I found, it says she's honest, reserved, circumspect, honorable, strong-willed, quietly ambitious within the realms of possibility, and she likes to take on responsibility. The descriptor that I found for you, she
Mm-hmm.
sees many possibilities, and it can be overwhelming to choose success in. We talked about this, success in fields that serve, guide, assist, and help. She's creative, perceptive, and compassionate. And I think those are such good descriptions of the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it so interesting that we found such a connection with each other because you're a fire sign and I am an earth sign.
Well, maybe we keep each other, maybe, pardon the pun, you keep me grounded, because
And you light the fire.
you said you are kind of risk averse. And as
Hmm.
we went to a business together, I was like, this is how you do it. Do you want to if we're going to do this damn thing, we need to start a business. And I was just like, I had like full steam
Yeah.
ahead. And I
Yeah.
think because when I had gone through it, creating businesses before that, I was like, I'll figure out how to do it on the way. And because I had done it, you were like, this does not feel like taking a risk.
Doesn't seem like a huge risk. It's still a risk, but I'm with somebody who's been done these risks before, so I feel safer.
Let's say calculated risk versus risky.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
calculated that risk
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
and me, I'm just like, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. I'll figure it out.
Here we
Like,
go.
yeah, I was like, yeah, sounds like
It's
a good idea. We'll do it.
it's very inspiring to have an Aries in your life who's just like, risk it for the biscuit. And I'm like, let's make a plan. Let's make a plan A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah,
And you're like,
because
or
I remember when I was like, Jackie, I don't know if you're ready for this, but we're gonna have to start an LLC and get a bank account together. Like, I was like, is that too much for you too soon? Because I was like, we gotta
we're
jump
married.
in. Yeah, we're
We're
married.
we're we're basically married. It's very close.
So now that we've kind of gone over the signs and our risings and whatnot, so how I use this verbiage, because again, I'm not very much into astrology. Like I've always read my horoscopes, but it's like, oh, how do you and this person match up?
Yeah.
It doesn't know. I don't. I'm like, whatever.
I
um,
mean, there are signs that like are averse to
mhm.
each other. They're just like it's going to be very hard. It's going to be work to keep them together.
And funnily
But
enough, those are Virgos for me.
well, listen, I'm a Virgo. My moon sign is Virgo. So my emotional sign, like how I emote, Virgos are easily overwhelmed by pressure, by stress, and you've seen it in me. You've seen me like I'm stressed. But we're perfectionists, which you saw in your ex-husband. We have a strong sense of like personal responsibility, and then when we don't see it in other people, we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like that can be very off-putting. I don't know.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, like the perfectionist side of it can be like aggressive.
And my eye is on the prize, and how I get there, how I get up the mountain can be very different from how I plan to get up the mountain. So I think
Right.
my not throwing caution to the wind in a negative way, but just like, hey, we'll figure it out. I don't have this 5-step plan.
Yeah,
Like if I make a 5-step plan, I will talk myself out of the plan. So the fun is learning
that
how
makes
to swim
sense.
in the
That
meantime.
makes sense.
But okay, so when I say I borrow verbiage from astrology, so
Right.
again, we're tangential, we're adjacent to it, but a fandom that I have been really into, not since it came out. I think I was a little late to the party, but Harry Potter and like so house um like house traits that we go into.
Yeah.
So of course I've been sorted through the sorting.
Haven't we all?
Haven't we
Haven't we
all?
all?
Just sorted. So it's again, when I first got sorted, I was just like, I don't know. Like I was answering it very honestly.
Mhm.
However, when I took the sorting hat quiz, I thought I was gonna be a Hufflepuff. And maybe this goes back against the you're breaking out of this wallflower. And then who do you think, who have you been versus who are you becoming or who are you really? The person that
Right.
actually sees you. So I was like, I'm an absolute Hufflepuff. When we talk about Hufflepuff, hard work, patience, loyalty, fair play. That is a huge thing for me.
Hmm.
However, anyone who knows me, and it really surprises me when people are like, oh, this is what you are. I got a Slytherin. They're like, you are sorted into Slytherin, which took me by surprise.
You were
I
like, ooh, clutched
absolutely not.
pearls.
Yes. At what? What? I
What?
got to put a lot of stake in the test, but I was like, what? What? This, I did not see it coming. I was like,
Let me take this again. Something
yeah.
is wrong.
I mean, okay, out of the four, like Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, I was like, Hufflepuff first, Gryffindor second, maybe Slytherin third, because Ravenclaw, there's no way I'm gonna be like as brilliantly smart to get that to be in that house. So I always say, but okay, obviously I was sorted into Slytherin, and now that's something I really lean into. I'm very proud of being a Slytherin.
Yeah.
And then when I see another, especially like a female Slytherin, I was like, "Ooh, yes, queen! Like I'm with you. Like let's go build an empire together." Like,
Hell
and then
yeah.
the fact that because one of my best friends, is a Slytherin, and then I was like, and she's like, "Oh, you're a Slytherin," just right off the bat, just nailed it. It's like, how did you know? Because again, I see maybe those quiet or insecure parts of me that everyone has on the inside. And
Yeah.
then they don't see that. They see my Slytherin ambition, cunning, determination, resourcefulness. Exactly what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
And so when I say I identify with a little bit of both of these things, I said I am a Slytherin with a Hufflepuff rising, you know.
And so that makes sense. Let's call back. Your rising
Mhm.
is the energy you're putting into the world. So it makes sense that you were like, no, I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
That
that it
makes
makes
total
sense, you know.
sense. That's the vibe
Yeah.
that you're working with. That's like what the energy people are feeling from you who don't know you.
Yeah.
Knowing you knows means you know that you're a Slytherin.
Yeah. But again, when it comes to ambition, I always say I'm not competitive, but I am personally ambitious. Like, I don't care about winning, but in anything that I do, is that the best I could do?
Yep.
You know,
It's
like
super important to you.
the first time I ever did a triathlon, I came in
Mhm.
dead last.
You did a
Dead last.
triathlon,
But
and
I did
that's all that matters to me.
an Olympic distance triathlon. I came in dead last. I was the first non-quitter. However, was that the best I could do? And yes, it was a very ambitious first distance for a
Honey,
triathlon, but I was like, it's the best I could do. And I was the first non-quitter, you know? So
I'd have been the first quitter.
yeah, yeah.
No
So it's
thanks.
like, but so I always say, like, when it's ambitious, it's like, I don't need to be the president of the United States. However, my ambition is like, is it the best that I can do with in the confines of what I want to do, you know,
Yeah.
kind of things. Like, I'm never gonna win a swimming competition, but did I do the best that I can do?
Yeah. I
That's
love
what's
when you say
important.
that because it reminds me to like keep that mindset
Mhm.
whenever I'm
Like,
like trying something new. Like, is that the best that I personally on this day could do? And if
yeah,
as long as I say yes, I feel good about whatever it is I'm doing.
yeah,
Like Sunday, all I did was sit, and it was the best I could do
best I could
on
do.
Sunday.
Mhm. Yeah, like I have to do a lot of figuring things out and like debugging for my job.
Yeah.
And so, or find out what other people's problems are and kind of how to fix them in this tech area. And
Yeah.
sometimes I get to the point where I'm at a wall and I have no more paths. So by the time I go and reach higher up to the developers saying, okay, I'm stuck. But at that point, I have done the best I can do to figure
Yeah.
that question out before I go and ask someone else for help, just to make sure that I'm not wasting their time. I, have I've done all that I can do to figure this out. So that's kind of what I do for everything else in my life. Like whatever I attempt,
Yeah.
it's the best I could do, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I say Slytherin with a Hufflepuff rising. And so I
Yeah.
always and when I speak that language, a lot of people they say, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, very rarely do I just come up to I think I know someone who's just an absolute Slytherin, an absolute Slytherin. Just, and then there's a Ravenclaw, full stop Ravenclaw. But a lot of people, as we are very multidimensional beings, what other do we identify with? So my sister is a Gryffindor with a Ravenclaw rising. She's very bravery, helping others, but she has that intelligence, knowledge, planning ahead. Um, so and then so it's always kind of like, oh, it's this with this, kind of. I
Yes.
would say I have a major in Slytherin and I have a minor in Hufflepuff. That's
That
kind of
makes
how I
sense.
word it. So what are
That makes
you?
sense. I, first of all, also housed my siblings thusly the way you just did.
Mhm.
Personally, I thought I was a Slytherin also hard stop.
Mhm.
Like Slytherin.
Because
But
I would say you're a Slytherin with a Ravenclaw.
I also agree with that. I think very much that I'm a Slytherin with a Ravenclaw rising, the planning ahead, the intelligence, the book smart, book smart.
Yeah. I almost
Let's
thought you were
heavy
going to say,
emphasis.
oh, Slytherin with a Gryffindor, because I can see that.
No, no, no,
No,
hard
okay.
stop on that, and definitely not Gryffindor. Like, no,
But
no,
or would you say you're a Ravenclaw with a Slytherin rising? Have you been sorted
no. I've been sorted for
into
sure. I'm a Slytherin.
Slytherin? Okay.
I got such like I don't even remember what it was, but like in when I went into the test, in my head, I was like, I'm probably a Slytherin.
Mm.
Probably.
It was the last thing on my mind. Well,
Probably a Slytherin. But
yeah.
when I read more about Ravenclaw, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like another aspect of their personalities is their wit.
Hmm.
And Capricorn, sorry, not Capricorn, but the Virgos
Hmm.
and well, Capricorns too. We just don't let a room go without making people laugh. Right.
Wit beyond
So
measure is man's greatest treasure.
exactly. Um, overachieving in my education when it comes to like intelligence and knowledge. So definitely Ravenclaw rising. But I also feel like I present Slytherin too. I have snakes tattooed on my neck.
You do.
In my
So,
little town,
mhm.
we have like a little we basically have a Harry Potter festival.
Mm.
If you guys know about, oh gosh, what's it called? Queen City Mischief and Magic is what it's called. You can Google it. Queen City Mischief and Magic. It's a festival. It's dedicated to the Harry Potter series. And all I did was let my snake tattoos show.
Speak for
And we have
themselves.
actors, exactly. We have actors that walk around the town dressed and they look like the characters. So I'm talking about Mad Eye Moody is walking around. Oh gosh, I just blanked on the giant's name. What's his name?
Hagrid.
You know it.
Hagrid.
Hagrid. Jeez. I knew it was an H name. Sorry. Anyways, mind blank. Hagrid's walking around. McGonagall is walking around.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, all of them.
Mhm.
Snape is walking around and the actors look very similar to the actors in the movies. So it's so fun. And Mad Eye Moody, and he's got like a mechanical eye and everything. His one eye is looking at me, and then his mechanical eye looks down at my neck tattoo and then back up at me down, and he goes, Slytherin, like that. I wish I had it on. I know. I wish
My
I had it.
mouth is agape.
I know. I wish I had it on video because it was such a classic moment because all the little kids were wearing their little like outfits and
Mhm.
they looked up at me and I giggled. I said, and then I just walked away.
What a Slytherin move to do.
Ah, what a
Mm.
Slytherin thing to do. But definitely a Slytherin Ravenclaw rising.
Mhm.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my house. When I go to Universal Studios to visit, the sets and stuff, the recreations, I am decked out all the way down to iridescent green highlighter on my face.
Ooh,
Ooh, ah,
yes.
telling you. I love it. I love that description.
Yeah. I'm the only Slytherin Hufflepuff that I know. And that throws
Um,
people for a loop. But once you get to
yeah.
know, yeah, it makes sense. Because again,
Um,
tradition, I'm never going to throw anyone under the bus so I can socially or politically climb. I'm like, when it comes to loyalty, that's where and fair play come into it. The Hufflepuff, it's like we get up the mountain together, or we don't get up at all. Like there is enough room for all of us.
yeah. I've told my sister that so my sister Crystal, she's 100% a Slytherin as well,
Mhm.
but she's a Hufflepuff rising.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know there's
So
more of us out there.
there are. She's a Hufflepuff rising. And then my other sister is a Ravenclaw Gryffindor rising.
Mm.
The genius who's becoming a doctor in York.
Yeah,
Yep, that's her.
that makes sense.
And then I yeah.
I feel like that's a
So I
really common combo is like Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Ravenclaw, Gryffindor.
yeah, I think they're kind of very complementary to each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like it fits
Mine
people's personalities.
almost seem like the antithesis of each other. Like,
Yeah, because Hufflepuffs are very like bubbly and like sweet and kind and like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what it is about Hufflepuff, but like maybe it's the name, but I just feel like they're fluffy and soft and
mm,
sweet and
don't
kind.
hug a badger though.
No.
That's that. This is how it goes because like a Hufflepuff mascot is the badger, and so we
Mhm.
all know the best thing on the internet is Honey Badger don't give a shit. You
They
know,
don't
it's
give
like
a
don't fuck with
shit.
them, right? So that's why I was like, a badger will take down a fucking cobra. That's what we know.
I
So
they will take it down two tigers. I watched.
yes,
I
so
watched it.
badgers, there is a quiet, stoic power to a Hufflepuff. So I was
There
like,
is.
they are not to be discounted. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense. There is this like just maybe they just don't have to be the loudest in the room, but they don't have to prove their strength to anybody. They're fine with it. They're good. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm here and I don't need to prove shit to anybody. Come
Yeah.
at me though, and you'll see how much I
You're
don't give a
gonna
shit.
you're gonna
Yeah.
lose. You're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I really love that as well. But again, transitioning when I always say, oh, like the fandoms that I have been into. So,
Okay.
um, also Sex and the City, of course, this is a big thing.
Huge in the
When I
90s.
say a
Are you
few years
kidding?
ago, I say turn of the century.
Oh,
Ew.
Lord.
Oh, Lord Voldemort. Okay,
Oh,
so
speaking of.
speaking of, but it's like also when we kind of describe ourselves, and these are things in like the cultural lexicon of when we say this, people know what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
when we also talk about like Sex and City archetypes, I always say, "Oh, I am a Miranda with a Samantha rising," or I always say like my major is in Miranda and my minor is in Samantha. So if we
I
go
like
through
that.
each of the women's archetype, we can say just for people to like understand you a little bit better without having to explain too much. So if we kind of go into like the archetypes of Sex and City, Charlotte, kind of a traditionalist, Miranda, independent, Samantha, sexually liberated, Carrie, romantic. She wants
Very
everything to work out. Like
romantic.
she's willing to like go for it again. So I always say, like Miranda, she's very career focused, very independent.
She's an
Again,
attorney. She's got
he's
an
an attorney.
Ivy
Yeah.
League law degree.
Yeah. And again, that's not my cup of tea. However, even at the beginning of the show, you said you're very career focused, you're very
Mhm.
independent. Like my
Yep.
independence is so important to me, and to
It's
have
very
people in my
important.
life that allow me to have that independence,
Yeah.
And then, when it comes to Samantha, it's like, fuck whoever you're gonna fuck. I don't care. Like, I'll go do it. It's fine. Like, go be safe about it. That's what I'm about. But it's like, I'm never gonna judge a woman for anything that she does or anything that she wants to choose. Like, again, slut shaming is not in my vocabulary. I don't use
Nope.
those words to describe another woman. I will never use sex to disempower another woman on her behavior. That is, to me, off limits. And society does that enough to women that it's like, no, we're changing the narrative here.
Yeah.
How I feel.
Well, I could never slut shame because I just want to know the cheese man. Like, tell me what you did.
Tell
Was it
me
good?
when they're
Tell
like,
me all
oh,
about it.
it's the walk of shame. I was like, I ain't ashamed. That's what I
It's
wanted
the
to.
trot of triumph.
Trot of triumph. Yes. Like, I'm not hanging my head leaving anyone's home. Like,
No,
you wish you were me.
you don't understand how good a night it was.
It was,
Why would we be ashamed?
yeah,
Walk of
I'm not.
shame.
Exactly. So,
Ridiculous.
yeah, trot of triumph here on the podcast. So, okay, so I always say I'm like Miranda, like a major in Miranda, a minor in Samantha, or
Mhm.
Miranda is my sign with a rising of Samantha. So what are what,
Yeah.
what are you, Jackie? What are you?
Listen, I want to, with all of my heart, say I'm a Samantha, just like I wanted to be Slytherin,
Yeah, but we got to be honest with
right?
ourselves. That's what we're doing here.
But if I'm being really honest with myself, I am a Samantha Carrie rising. Carrie is a romantic, right? She just wants to be in love with Mr. Big, right? Like,
Yeah, or
and she
anybody.
gives him all the chances. And you know what? Listen, we all know from the sex episode that I'm extremely sexually liberated. I don't care. I will create a a parade of lovers exiting my
The
apartment. I
roster.
do.
Hmm.
Yeah, the roster is always full. Girls like me are never single. Somebody's always in love. But
Jackie.
I'm a romantic.
Jackie's always falling in love. Jackie's never
I
in.
love I love falling in love. That's my favorite fucking thing to do. But I'm 100% of a Samantha, very sexually liberated. Pretty much nothing's off the table until I try it and say it's off the table. Quite,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
I'm just doing it.
Unapologetic about it. That's the whole
Mhm.
point.
I don't like to slut shame. I don't like to shame.
Mhm.
I think sex is a gift. I think it's a wonderful gift that we have all been given. Let's explore it. Let's have fun.
Mhm.
And like really, explore that side of ourselves. But I'm a Carrie rising 100%. Just want to fall in love with, the love of my life. Not like Charlotte. Like I'm not a traditionalist. I had my kids, but I don't want to have like the perfect insular family. I don't want any of that.
Picture
I,
perfect to everyone
yeah,
else.
definitely not. I found myself on the couch this weekend when I was doing my best,
Yes. Yep.
doing the best I could on a Sunday. And I realized like, yeah, I really do love to be in a relationship. I love to have that partner. But I also am it's the dichotomy. Like I'm very sexually liberated, so I don't want to have that partner to like tie me down,
Hmm.
but very much a carrier. And then I also love and talk to my shoes. So there's that.
I'm not afraid of heights. Have you seen my shoes?
Have you seen?
Yeah. I know
I've
I am a
broken my
carry
foot.
with my fabulous, fabulous shoe collection.
Oh, the shoe collection is
Hot.
it's
It's
hot
very.
stuff. I hope I
Mhm.
have my storage back by the time you come and visit so that you can see my shoe collection because it is ridiculous and it's all in storage.
Mm,
All of it.
can't
And I
wait.
miss them. Sometimes I sit and write my shoes letters. I'm just kidding.
But if you're not, that's okay. Get them. That's great. Do they bring you joy? Do they bring you happiness?
They
Yes. Here
do.
for it.
They bring me length in my legs and they're so good. I love them. Well,
Well, I think that is quite fun. And I hope our listeners, see what the sort of fandoms there are, or let us know what sort of fandoms that they sort themselves into with majors and minors,
Mhm.
rising signs of what they are, because I think it really helps us to communicate who we are without having
Yeah,
to say a whole lot, especially very popular fandoms. So I know
that's
I'm
true.
not always into like a ton of book series, but um yeah, leave us DM us or leave us notes in the comment section of like what you are, because we want to hear about. I want to know if there's any more Slytherin Hufflepuffs out there. I know it can't be the only
Yes.
one. I know of two now. That's it.
Yes. And you know what? Here's the thing is it can go into so many different genres. I was actually just thinking of this game that I used to play addictively called World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be so many different types of characters in World of Warcraft, like human and elf and like, oh gosh, I forgot the
I
rest of
want
them,
to
like
say
Death
like Dungeon
Eater
and
and stuff like.
Dragons as well.
Yeah,
You know,
there's different characters in
Mage.
that too. Like this is a great way to describe who you are in your ego and then who you are like externally, what vibe you're putting out into the world.
That's very true because I'm not. I wish I was really into D&D and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, but I was like, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm a level 12 wood nymph." Sorry, you guys, if that's not it, but it's like I want to know that as well to be able to speak that language to that fandom to be like, "Oh, I'm this."
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
I was an elf for the horde, and then I was a healer. And I like it was so long ago that I used to play it. I was so good at it.
Mm.
And I used to say like, so the horde is like the bad guys, and then the alliance is like the good guys. Of course, I play for the bad guys.
It's so funny. I would play for the good guys.
You would
I
100%.
would.
You
That
would be a
Hufflepuff
human
isn't good for me.
alliance
Yeah.
player. That's what you would be, a human alliance. And then
In
I'm an
Lord of
elf
the Rings, I'm not going to
healer.
be on the side of the orcs. The orci. No. Ew.
I probably would still be an elf though.
Yeah, they kind of want to stay out of it and be like, that sounds like a you problem. We'll help
If
if
you
we
want him,
have
you come and
to.
claim him. Yeah.
The age of the elves is ending. Going onto the undying lands. Okay, anyways, this is taking a hard turn. Thanks, guys.
Hard turn.
Nerdy. Hard turn. Uh,
Yes. You know,
excellent.
go
Let's go on.
ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, let's jump back into the astrology part of it with your
Oh, okay.
tarot pull. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna do too. I was
Yeah.
grabbing it.
Get grabbing it. I know. Let's get back to the astrology part of it.
Yep.
Is tarot astrology? Am I wrong? Oh, cards are popping out. I can
You
see
saw
them.
that, right? You saw that just
Yes.
jump. Okay.
It says
So,
we need this right now.
I think so. Here's the thing. Is tarot part of astrology? No, it's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
But it is part of the occult. It is part of the spirituality of, I don't know. I'm a witch. Like I practice witchcraft. That's
Mhm.
that's my religion. I worship Lilith. I worship Freya, like female powerful goddesses.
Persephone.
Persephone is my primary goddess, and a lot of witches have their own specialties, and mine, I genuinely feel like the cards talk to me. Whether I have them, I don't have them memorized like a lot of these tarot girls do, but like I'm midst memorization, and like genuinely every show we get some kind of really good message,
We
which
do.
I always feel like is meant for us. I always feel like it's you need a message when you get the message
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So while it's not part of astrology, it's definitely part of an occult practice.
Maybe I just think
Um,
it's all under the umbrella of metaphysicalness.
yeah,
Metaphysicality? I
the,
don't even know
the,
what the right
the,
word is.
I like that word, metaphysicality. All right,
All
all
right,
right, all right, all right.
ready? Ooh,
Here
this is
we
gonna be
go.
good. You get so
Here we
good
go. I
at
know
it.
every time I
I'm
sigh, I swear to
I'm
God.
ready. Mm-hmm.
I swear to God.
So did
All
you
right.
pull three and the one
I
that jumped out, or did
Yeah,
the
so
one that
I
jumped out?
always
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always going to do a 3 card pull. 5 and 6 cards are meant for entirely different paths, first of all, and they take forever to read.
Mm-hmm.
So if a card jumps out, I always place it face down. It is face down. I don't know what it is. I did not see it. And then I always feel like that's just like spirit. Like you also need this.
Yeah.
So
Don't forget this one. This is the message you have to receive.
yeah, you need this for some reason. I don't know. It always makes sense in the end. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'm breaking out my trusty book, and if you're looking to read tarot, do not hesitate to break out your trusty book. The first card is the Page of Swords. And I know you like to write these down. So,
So the Page of Swords.
Page of Swords, and the page is upright. Stop.
What?
And so, literally, so, first of all, I love these
I've
cards.
never seen that card
This
before.
black deck is like insanely beautiful.
Ooh, yeah.
Insanely beautiful. Lots of ideas. Lots and lots of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not a ton of focus, but this is just about generating new thoughts, and like guiding towards choices. Which is so funny that we're talking about like our signs and like our moon signs and our sun signs and our rising signs. And it's like all of those things really lean into and lend to how you make your choices because they're based on like the type of personality you are and like how you move forward. So upright, it's just symbolizing curiousness and excitability, like you're excited, which so perfect for this reading. Am I right? Like this
Yes.
episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second one
What's the second one?
is the Emperor.
Ooh.
But another one we've never pulled before.
Ooh, I know. What could it
Okay.
be?
The Emperor really represents the masculine, divine, the essence of order. Okay. As far as like this card goes, you can see like a powerfully built figure rising through the darkness and displaying physical strength. So this is like authority, rules, things like that. So isn't it interesting that we're talking about making choices and learning about our signs? And then the very next card is talking about rules. And like this one's about making decisions, and this one's about rules. So,
The essence
what,
of order. Yeah.
yeah, like what is it? What is it? All right. So, the final one,
Is this the one that jumped out?
nope, this is the third card.
Okay.
This one is justice.
Oh, I like that.
Justice also represents decision making and logic, the power and knowledge outside of our emotions. Justice is an archetype. It's an archetype. And we were just talking a little bit about our own archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the 11th teacher. So if we're talking about the symbolism pictured in the card, an ancient being with a cycloptic eye holds a light in the darkness. All of these are about making a decision.
I like that. A
All of
light in
these.
the darkness.
Yeah. All of these are about making a decision. Upright, it means detached, decision making, cause and effect.
Yeah.
There's some kind of decision that these cards are talking about. And how interesting that we're talking about our signs, because our signs really, really lend to how we go through life, how we do make these decisions.
Yeah. Because we were talking about, you're a little risk averse as I'm just kind of like, hey, we got to do it. Let's
Let's
figure it
take the
out.
risk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Final one is a queen card.
Mean.
Hold on. We got a queen of cups.
Cups.
Queen of cups. I remember previously I described cups. Your cup runneth over. It's more like that. That's also how I sort of remember what the, gosh, I just lost the page. How the cups are kind of explaining things to us. It's about like receiving something, blessings, things like that. So the Queen of Cups is a female figure. And if you can look at my card, it has like octopus tentacles at the bottom. The cup is balanced on top of her head. So this is a decision as far as any kind, like a relationship. So this is another choice card. This is like deciding to do something. Upright, it means nurturing and emotionally supportive. So like receiving, like nurturing, receiving emotional support, things like that. That's what the Queen of Cups really represents. And I find it so interesting that all of these cards are all upright and they all have significant decision-making themes.
Yeah.
Considering that we're talking about like our personalities. So maybe there's some kind of and you know, I've been struggling with like my own decisions as far as like my challenges this year. And like having to really put things in perspective and make a hard choice. So
we were talking about this on the pre-show because you're like, did I make
yeah,
the right decision? Do I still need to do this a certain way?
we were.
I was like, you are indecisive. Like, do we need to talk through it again? To
Yeah.
how do your decisions feel to you? You know, do we need to reevaluate them, or do you just need a little reassurance that you're doing, just stick to it because it feels
Yeah.
uncomfortable because you've never made that choice before?
And being in the beginning of this year, that's something that everybody can relate to quite like we have to make we make the decision every year to have a resolution and to stick to it or not to stick to it.
Yeah.
And you have to really evaluate how important those decisions are, whether it be a relationship, and it could be a relationship with a lover, a friend, a family member, something like that, that you're really having to make a very important decision on. My personal relationship is with money. My relationship with money, my relationship with my vices that I, you know, have that I'm trying to reevaluate really. And we talked about it on the previous relationships. So it's real interesting that all of these cards are decision-making cards, and we're talking about our astrological signs and how we make those decisions. So those are the cards.
Those are
The
fun.
Page of Swords, the Emperor, Judgment, and then our bonus card, the Queen of Cups.
Oh, I love
which
it.
is really symbolic for like whatever
I love a
relationship.
session when we get a bonus card.
It just jumps. I love when they just jump out like, hey, also this. Yeah. You need to. So that's the reading for tonight.
I know. I think that's pretty good. I mean, we didn't get a chance to get into like these other female archetypes, like the Huntress or the Queen, or, ooh, yes, we're going to save that for another show. Well,
That'll
Jack,
be a fun show, I think, for our listeners.
it's going to be really fun. I don't think I've taken that test yet. So it'll be fun to like kind of, we can figure out who you think we're going to be and then who we are going to be. That will be fun.
That'll be so fun.
Yes. Well, Jacqueline, I love you so much. What a
I
great,
love you so
what
much.
a fun show.
Yes. I love talking about this stuff. Like,
I love
I'll talk
talking
about it
about
for
it.
hours.
And I love telling everyone, I'm like, oh, I'm a Slytherin. They're like, yeah, we know.
We get it, Rach.
We know.
Listen, it's a hard duh whenever I say I'm a Slytherin. Nuh-uh, Jackie, for real.
Yeah. Oh, very quickly before we go, I do want to remind our listeners that we have a Patreon now.
We do. And
We have
all of the
Patreon.
juicy goss is on the Patreon.
Yes. So we have after shows. We call them sizzle reels. So we definitely have the first annual Choni's Chunkless Cheese May. episode
Mhm.
up, followed by the After Dark sizzle reel for that show. So you
Mhm.
guys do get early releases of the podcast if you want to listen to them early. And then we do it's $3.95 for a subscription tier, and then you get all the after show sizzle reels, all the After
Mhm.
Dark editions of us talking about normal life stuff and outside of our topic of the day. So if you really want to get down to the bestie cheese mate, that's where you can find it on our Patreon. And we'd love it if you could support us there so we can make more great content for you, but also for our Patreon subscribers. For our YouTube watchers, there will be an end screen where you can put your name and we support you. And then also for our subscriber tier, if you have your own personal project that you want to promote, we can link that into the show notes as well. If you have a small business and we want to support you as well. So early access, behind the scenes content, and then shout outs, and then some support for your business or project as well. So that is what you'll get
Yeah.
if you support us on Patreon, and we would thank you and appreciate you oh so much. And also
Absolutely.
our Amazon list if you want to shop our apartments, our most amazing things. And nothing is on there that we do not use ourselves.
We bought every single item on the
Everything on that
Amazon
item.
list. And Rachel, before we go, I have to read a message that was sent to me from one of our listeners. We're gonna call her Emily B.
Oh, I would love to
Emily,
hear it.
yes, Emily B says, I love you guys. I'm usually all about true crime podcasts. I can't read today. I'm usually all about true crime podcasts. And I only have a few that I listen to weekly, but I truly enjoyed listening to you guys. You have me hooked. I can't wait for next week.
Oh,
I
I
know.
love it. Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
Mm. We right now our community is small, but it is mighty and it is
I know
supportive.
that's right.
And they are lovely. And I love getting messages on our TikTok and
Same.
Instagram, and
Same.
even when they leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, don't forget, leave that 5-star review and we'll read your review in the next show.
Yeah, it'll be great. Thank you so much for all of your support, listeners. And then also thank you for listening to another fabulous episode of Whiskey Bent
Spellbound with Black.
and Whitefield. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.